The box sat on the kitchen island for 20 minutes before I really saw it. It arrived mid-afternoon, ordinary brown cardboard, heavy for its size. The return address was my brother's. No note taped to the top, no explanation. Just my name in his tight, slanted handwriting. I hadn't spoken to Mark in 11 months. Daniel found me staring at it. He'd come in from the backyard, wiping soil from his hands, and stopped when he saw my face. Then he looked at the box. He stood there long enough for the silence to mean something. "Don't open it," he said quietly. "Can't you see?" My hand was reaching for a knife from the block. I froze. I looked at the box again, not at the box itself, but at the way it was wrapped. The tape was excessive, layered in strips that overlapped like a bandage applied by someone who didn't want it removed. The cardboard near the edges looked slightly darker, like it had been stored somewhere damp before being shipped, I saw. But I didn't want to name what I saw. I pulled my hand back and sat down on one of the stools. Daniel sat across from me. The box stayed between us. The kitchen was bright, sunlight coming through the big window over the sink. The counters were clean. Everything was normal except for this thing my brother had sent, this object I was suddenly afraid to touch. My father died 8 years ago. He didn't have much, but what he had he split unevenly, more to me, less to Mark. My father never explained why, but I knew. We all knew. Mark had borrowed money from him for years, never paid it back, stopped coming to holidays when my father finally said no. Mark didn't speak to me for a year after the will was read. Then he started again slowly, like nothing had happened. Then our great aunt died. $890,000. She had no children of her own. She'd watched me visit her every Sunday for 5 years, while Mark sent birthday cards with no return address. She left it all to me. That was 4 months ago. Mark hadn't called or written since. Until this. I sat in my kitchen, and I thought about what might be inside the box. Photographs. A letter. Something from our childhood, something he knew would cut. That was the horror of it. Not the box itself, but the certainty that whatever was in there was meant to be the last word. A punishment delivered to my door, signed with his return address, or wrapped in layers of tape so I would have to work to get inside. I sat there for 10 minutes, maybe longer. Daniel didn't speak. He just stayed across from me, present, waiting. At some point the fear shifted. It didn't leave, but it settled into something else, something colder and clearer. I looked at Daniel and said, "Call the police." He didn't ask if I was sure. He just pulled out his phone. 2 officers came, a man and a woman. The woman asked the questions. I told her about my brother, about the money, about the estrangement, about the box and the way it arrived, and the fact that I hadn't opened it. She looked at the box, then she looked at me. "You did the right thing," she said. She put on gloves. She lifted the box carefully, turning it over, looking at the seams, the tape, the address label. She asked more questions. "How long since you last spoke? Has he threatened you before? Do you have any reason to believe he would harm you?" I answered each one. My voice stayed steady. The other officer took the box. They said they would have it examined. They said someone would follow up. At the door, the woman officer paused. "This kind of thing," she said, "it's never really about what's inside." Then they left. The kitchen felt different after they were gone. Larger, emptier. The box was gone, but something else had left with it. The weight of not knowing. The pressure of his intention. It had been transferred. It was no longer mine to carry alone. I didn't cry. I sat back down and Daniel came and sat next to me. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. I don't know what was in the box. I may never know. The police took it, and that was the end of it for now. But I know this. Mark expected me to open it. He expected me to sit here alone with whatever he'd chosen to send, to let it land the way he wanted it to land. He expected me to carry that alone. Instead, I handed it to 2 strangers in uniform. I made it their problem. I made it a matter of record. I don't know if that's victory. It doesn't feel like winning. It feels like closing a door and walking away and not looking back to see if it opens again. The sun moved across the kitchen floor. The counters stayed clean. The house was quiet. and my brother's box was gone.